So we have looked at different models of governance. We have looked at how decisions were made. We have looked at how welfare state was established in the UK and other countries. Now we finally come to Pakistan. So how decisions are made in Pakistan, how social policies are implemented in Pakistan, and the most important document for social policies and finding the basis of social policies is, of course, the Constitution. The 1973 Constitution is the supreme law of Pakistan, and every decision has to be based on this 1973 Constitution. So let's discuss how social policies are linked with the Constitution. And the first thing which comes into mind when we look at the social policies and Constitution is the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights is the first chapter of the 1973 Constitution, and this shows the importance of fundamental rights. So how fundamental rights are linked with the social policies? So the first three fundamental rights are Article 9, 10, and 10A, which are linked to personal security, safeguard from arrest and detention, and fair trial. So these are linked with the policies related to justice, law and order, hunger, environment, and prisons. Then Article 11 is linked with protection from slavery and forced labor. And these are, of course, linked to policies related to human trafficking, policies related to poverty, policies related to minimum wage and other things. You have heard about the bonded labor. So bonded labor is, of course, some people say they are the slaves in overtimes. So this is one article which links that social policy with these fundamental rights. Then there's the Article 12 and 13, which link with which are about protection from retrospective punishment and double punishment. So what is retrospective punishment? It is the punishment which is given to someone in the future because of the law has changed. So you have done something, and it was not a crime at that time, but then after 6 months, a year, that action has been declared a crime. So if you are punished because of that, you are given a retrospective punishment, which is illegal according to the Constitution of Pakistan. Double punishment means, of course, as is clear, that you are punished twice for the same crime. And these are linked with, of course, the social policies related to justice and security. A very important fundamental right, with respect to social policy, is Article 14, which argues that the dignity of man is inviolable. And man here means, women and children and all that. So this means that every social policy can be justified on the basis of Article 14, because whether it's health, education, prison, law and order, crime, housing, it's the dignity of man which is threatened if the government doesn't provide that facility. So lots of social policies can be justified on the basis of only this fundamental right given in Article 14. So Article 15 and 16 is related to freedom of movement and assembly. Of course, if there is no freedom of movement and assembly, you can't go to your school, you can't go to the hospital, you are dependent on it. So if you look at the current situation in occupied Kashmir, you can argue that nothing can be done because there is no freedom of movement and assembly. Then Article 17 and 18 is related to freedom of association and trade, which is again linked to jobs and economic security. So if you can't trade, if you can't associate, you can't have money, you don't have economic security. Not all people can be employed by the government. Then Article 19 and 19A, which is the freedom of speech and information. These are again linked to different social policies. Article 20, 21, and 22 linked to freedom to profess religion, no extra taxation, and established education institutions. So these are basically linked to the rights of minorities, because the majority religion is not threatened anywhere. So usually it's the minority religion which is threatened. So these articles are linked with the social policies related to education, health, and poverty of minorities. Then Article 23, 24 is related to protection of property. Again, which is the basis of economic security and economics and transactions and trade. Article 25 and 25A are related, again, very comprehensive, which are and linked to social policies. They are equality of citizens and rights of education. So again, equality of citizens, which is Article 25, lots of diverse social policies can be explained or implemented based on this article. And Article 26 and 27, which argues that there should not be any discrimination. And then Article 28 argues that there should not be any, there should be the different languages and different ethnicities, their culture, their language script, and their language should be preserved. So all these different fundamental rights are linked with social policies, and social policies can be made or argued with the basis of these social policies. Different social policies can be found in the Constitution in this chapter 1, which is related to fundamental rights. Thank you.